Welcome back to Major Misconduct. I'm the Major, Scott Taylor. That's the Misconduct, Curt Keelback. And now I want to talk about the two best players in the National Hockey League and why one of them will be MVP and the other one won't be. Doesn't matter who wins the scoring title. Evgeny Malkin will be the most valuable player in the National Hockey League this year because the Pittsburgh Penguins will make the playoffs. Steven Stamkos will not unless he wins the scoring title and makes the playoffs. And right now the playoffs don't look like they're going to happen. So that's my pick. Right now, Malkin leads Stamkos by 3 points as of today. And we're talking about a Monday, trade deadline day. Stamkos, what a beautiful hockey player. He's a remarkable hockey player, but he plays on a team that just isn't good enough, and I don't think is coached well enough. Meanwhile, Evgeny Malkin has picked up the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Somebody should pick up the Pirates.
Yeah, somebody should. He's picked them up on his shoulders and taken them into a solid playoff spot and maybe one of the best teams in the league.
Okay, there's a good possibility that one of those two will win the Hart Trophy as the MVP, although another candidate has emerged. I know they have a separate trophy for goaltenders.
Yes.
But how about Henrik Lundqvist? He's been mentioned many times because as we do this broadcast, the New York Rangers are pretty healthy in first place. But if it's up to the other two, I would also add another one. I told you before, I'm a big fan of Pavel Datsyuk. I think he's probably the best player in the NHL. And, the Detroit Red Wings couldn't lose when he was there, and they have had a little bit of trouble since he went out. So I think he enters in the picture too, but probably it will be Evgeny Malkin because of the scoring thing. And I don't think you can go too far wrong with that either. If you take a look at what's gone on in Pittsburgh, I think Evgeny Malkin is a better player when Sidney Crosby is gone. It becomes his baby. He's the main man. And it seems strange. He goes to the number one line as opposed to be the number two line. Means he should come up against weaker defenses and be more productive. But I think he relishes the challenge. He wants to be the main man there.
Do you not think that it took him a while, though, to get to that point? Because earlier in the season, Pittsburgh was really struggling. There was all the talk about Sidney's doing this, and then Sidney came back and was tremendous in his first game, and then, of course, relapsed, and that concussion thing, it's just not looking like it's going to go away. And it took Malkin a while to realize, this is my team, and if we're going to make the playoffs, I'm the guy who has to carry this load. And once he came to that realization, he started ripping it up.
Yeah, and he's shown his talent. But one thing that makes both Pavel Datsyuk and Steven Stamkos better hockey players than Evgeny Malkin, they do it every night. Mm-hmm. Evgeny Malkin, he does it a few months, maybe a season. I mean, he won the Conn Smythe one year. And then he'll have an entire bad year where he's say, whatever happened to him? I mean, he was a scoring champion last year. Now he's 50th or something. And this year is one of the up years. What happens next year? You don't know. With Steven Stamkos, you know next year. With Pavel Datsyuk, you know next year. And I think so, too, with Henry Lundqvist.
I think you're absolutely right when you talk about Pavel Datsyuk. He's probably the best all-around hockey player in the game. I think it'd be pretty tough to get an argument for that one. The reason he won't be MVP is he's got so many good players that he plays with.
Yeah, but sometimes these guys make their mates better, and that might be where Steven Stamkos falls back. Maybe he doesn't make the Tampa Bay Lightning a better team around him. I think Evgeny Malkin seems to pick up the Pittsburgh Penguins, or somebody has, and maybe it's Nicholas Lidstrom too, who deserves more of the credit for Detroit because they rally around him. But they do have rallying points, and Steven Stamkos' Tampa Bay Lightning really haven't done that much when you take a look at some of the talent that's on that team.
Well, I think the problem is Guy Boucher, the coach. I was in Tampa the night Chris Pronger took the puck on the circle in his own end and stood there, and the Lightning wouldn't come across the blue line to get the puck. Boucher plays the trap the whole game, despite the fact he has Lecavalier when he's healthy, St. Louis, Malone, Stamkos, Victor Hedman can score, the defenseman. They can all play good, solid offensive hockey, and they proved it against Winnipeg. Fell behind 4-0. Boucher had no choice but to let him go. He let him go, and they just ran out of time. It finished 4-3, but Tampa outplayed Winnipeg right into the ice in the third period. This is a very talented team that is being held back by a coach who has forced them to play a style of play that is not suitable to the way they play. And despite it all, Stamkos is still in the top two in scoring in the NHL.
Yeah, so obviously he's getting the job done. But you're right, it's kind of an inhibiting style that they play as far as being offensively creative. It's like dressing 18 defensemen and two goaltenders.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the most fun I had on the weekend, and I really think that this hockey guy right here had fun watching too. The NBA All-Star Game. I don't like All-Star Games, but I love that one. You're watching Major Misconduct. Scott Taylor, Curt Keelback, and we're live from the Sal's on Leela in Winnipeg.